Hey, I got a question for you. Since you've been playing jazz pretty much your whole life, what is your concept of timekeeping in jazz? Because some guys will say, well, yeah, you got the pulse going, but then you're weaving all around that pulse. But, some people are bouncing, some people are singing the click, some people are, doing different teeth clicking. What's your take on timekeeping?
I did a lot of training with the metronome, and me and Ronnie, we had Kenwood Denard to, as a model, as a sample. You want to keep good time? Set the metronome at whatever metronome marking, and keep time with it, and then turn the metronome off a minute later, and you should still be at that same quarter note. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I would never attempt that, even for 20 seconds, let alone 60 seconds. Time is like a color for, if you want a different flavor. Flavor has a lot to do with it. And flavor is not really the right word, but if you can put a more humanistic name on the tempo.
Are you thinking like the feel that's behind the notes, which is behind the subdivision? All that has to be with feel.
When I was younger, it was into the unison fusion lines and stuff. You're relying a lot on actual real tempo. It's a 104. And that used to be the most important thing.
Hey, Tony, can you give us a list of some of your favorite drummers?
Okay, well, Buddy Rich is at the top. Max Roach is at the top, of course. A lot of my favorite drummers come from groups. Earth, Wind & Fire's drummer, Kool and the Gang's drummer. Aretha Franklin's drummer, who just happened to be Bernard Purdy.
But wasn't Maurice White the guy that played on a lot of Earth, Wind & Fire stuff?
Maurice White was the leader of the Earth, Wind & Fire, but he was the drummer for the Ramsey Lewis Trio. As we know now, jazz is the teacher, funk is the preacher.
That's good.
Yeah, so he, he got his tools and started his own band, and Earth, Wind & Fire. Earth, Wind & Fire, had my favorite Earth, Wind & Fire. I mean, this is a part of my blood, which is a record called Last Days in Time. So I got to say Buddy Miles for sure, because Jimi Hendrix banded Gypsies. I did a Hendrix project once with 2 guitar players and Lincoln going to a bass. And right away at rehearsal, because they know all of Hendrix, guitar players good. But I really, I know Jimi Hendrix's biggest hits, but what I really dug my head into was the Banded Gypsies, because not only did they look like us, but they had the same equipment as us. Single-headed drums, because we couldn't afford double heads. Paint your own drums, little cymbals. You could just tell, you could see the cymbals on the stand going, whoa, whoa, Mickey Roker, because he was my play uncle. Of course, the Tony Williams, and the list goes on and on eventually, right?
Yeah, you know what Marcos brought up when we were talking this morning before the interview? He says, I'm going to ask him about Papa Joe Jones, because you do some finger solo. And he thought, I wonder if he was into Papa Joe.
Yeah.
I would like to say that I was, but no. I mean, no, but I would see him and I would try to get some pointers and some, he does 100 little interesting things. Everything he does is almost, just so I try to get what I could, like any other, but with like trying to sound like him, or maybe trying to play the song that he played or something, but not really. I'm ashamed, because now, knowing what I know now, oh my gosh! And I sat right next to him, as probably met him twice, and he's very nice. But I was too young; I barely knew who he was. But everybody around him was, all the greatest musicians. Back in the early 80s, man, boy, jazz tours and concerts, boy, were thick, man. They were very heavily supported and financed. Things pop up for me. As I told you, my life kind of runs on the gigs, and where, right, and so you know what that comes. You know what comes with that. You know.
Yeah. Right.
Well, this or this.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
if you've been around long enough, you'll find out there's not always this.
Right.
It might be connected to this, but if you just knew how to do this is not so bad. You know, you know, you got to take some pain somewhere. What, you think you're going to just go through life scot free?
Yeah. Well, let's not talk about your accident with that bike courier in New York. Talk
The
about,
bike courier,
oh my God, that was crazy.
and before that was I can't say which one was worse because about now 8 years ago, I'm thinking I was beat up in the street in New York by two drug addicts.
Oh my
They were
God.
on drugs. They weren't even looking to rob me. They just wanted to beat somebody up. And I was making a routine run to the store, just at 12:30 midnight, 7-Eleven, get a Perrier, get a cheese sandwich, whatever. Come back, and I ran into those guys.
Oh my
And
God.
one hit me over the head with a metal crate. We're at the 7-Eleven. So outside 7-Eleven, there's crates, like milk crate kind of delivery crates, that they stack on each other. You know what I'm talking about? Guy hit me in the head. I fell to my knees, and both of my kneecaps went up into my thigh.
Oh my God.
So I had double knee surgery, man.
Oh my God.
Yeah, let's start there. And not even 2 weeks before that, I did the Jimmy Fallon show solo. I was getting a lot of calls, man, from people. Oh, man, we got to get Tommy, and he's hopefully they're saying, yeah, he's a great drummer, and he's got this thing. Man, I had so many gigs lined up in a week. You know, gigs as far from that day to a year later. And some. So, yeah, like I don't know, 8 days after, bang, I'm in the I'm in the hospital. Luckily, my Dizzy Gillespie friend and brother, John Lee, he spearheaded my whole recovery with his resources too.
Right.
There's a Dr. Stein who's like this amazing doctor. I was out for about out of commission. Man, so many people came over to my apartment just to hang, whatnot, say hi, bring food, money, everything, man. I was in tears, like every day. Jeff Tain Watts just came over. When I opened the door, he was looking like this. Like, let's go. Where the drum? Where the drums? I'm gonna play for you. I'm working on
Wow.
some new things. What do you think about this? Yeah. We just did some experimental solos and things that he knew I liked, and amazing. Charles Mingus the third, he came over. Steve Teray from Saturday Night Live. Alex Foster. If I keep naming things, people crazy. Ron Carter, crazy. And so John Lee and a very good friend started a GoFundMe page against my decision, against my ruling, and they raised $64,000 for
Wow.
all my medical expenses, and that's including physical therapy afterwards.
That amount of money probably only covered 1/10 of your bill.
Luckily, John Lee took care of that, along with the Jazz Foundation of America in New York. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they fund tens of thousands, if not millions, of musicians, artists that need help, medical, any kind of help from financial to physical. You ever hear of them? The
Why
Jazz
not?
Foundation. Yeah, the Jazz Foundation of America. Very, very, very good source. Source is really not the right word. It's a benefit. For specifically for musicians and related people. So, yeah. So, yeah, that was a major period. But my life is better because of it, which it sounds so cliche. I can't even believe I'm still saying it, but I know it's the truth. Like this one, you hear that a lot because it's a cliche. I'm better for it, or it's not quite as heavy. My life is better the way I think, what I do, the way I act, the way I play, especially the way I treat people. Oh man, it's like having a kid, which I had. So that's major. Now you want to talk about the 8 years later or what? Now I got hit by,
Okay, the courier guy.
bike guy. Broke 3 of my ribs, punctured my lungs. I told you that?
I got that from another interview you did about a year ago.
Okay.
You went to Berklee from 75 to 79. Then you were even a teacher there from 85 to 89. Fellow Berklee alumni Ronnie Siago named some great teachers you guys had. What are some of the things that you've learned that have stuck with you throughout your whole career?
That's a very good question, and a meaty, deserves a meaty answer, boy. I came at the very end of Alan Dawson being there. So when I got there, his picture was in the brochure, but he was not there. But I was his roadie for, say, 3 or 4 times.
How cool.
Yeah, man, unbelievable. I saw him do some stuff that I never would imagine. I even roadie for him when he played Vibes, too. I got to start with Alan because Alan influenced the rest of the teachers that I'm going to tell you that I studied with. What I mean?
Right.
Keith Copeland, rest in peace. Gary Chafee is next, who I not only got a chance to see him, he used to let me watch him and another teacher who I also studied with named Bob Wagner. They were like buddies, and they would be in their offices practicing, a lot of times practicing Tower Power, David Garibaldi stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I think Gary Chafee made a thing out of that syncopated Oakland stroke, David Garibaldi, Tower Power. He made a thing out of that. This is what I believe to myself and assume, because a lot of Gary Chafee's books very heavy, of course, and he threw in the polyrhythm, so which Tower Power is not really known for polyrhythm. Yeah, they might throw one in there. Not only study with Gary Chafee, and he had a lot of good students that would just be right behind me. Like Vinny Colaiuta, he was studying with Gary too at the same time I was.
J.R. Robinson, same thing.
J.R. Robinson used to come to me during that time. I'd be in like my 3rd year at Berklee. I'm playing with almost half my teachers doing gigs and stuff. A couple of them said, "Don't come to class." J.R. would come to me. One time he came to me and said, "Tommy," no, more than one time. That's what I'm saying. He would come to me and say, "Tommy, man, if you have any leftover gigs that you can't do, man, $25, $30, man, anything, could you, throw them my way?" Because we were friends. Now, when I see him, I go, JR, if you have any leftover Chevrolet Corvettes that you're not using, could you give me, like a 2018 one, would you get a new one every year,
Oh my God.
And we laugh at that. That's our joke, our greeting joke.
That's funny.
Yeah, so, and then, you had a bunch of freaking students that, Kenwood, see, we got to start with Kenwood. He wasn't technically a teacher, but man, he was just as much a teacher as anybody we studied with. He was always, let's learn, let's play, let's watch this, look at this, what about this? Jeff Tain was there, Smitty Smith, oh, of course, Steve Smith. Oh, yeah, a bunch of cats, man. Crazy. And in Boston, I believe more than New York, or at least at that time, you had so many institutions there. Everybody's learning, everybody's studying, practicing, learning.
What's your advice on dealing with odd time signatures? Because you've mastered so many of them in such a musical way. Do you have some advice on odd time stuff?
Yeah, first advice, people should play it more. Because I'm going nuts with this 4/4. Oh, look what a new song I wrote. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is the 130th song that you wrote. What's it sound like? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. My gosh. What else you got? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. What else you got? Dave Brubeck, Take 5. I know that one. What else you got? I noticed one group, half of the song is something Korea chick, something like that. Yeah. So
Right.
I'm halfway joking, but I really mean it, man. We are freaking as a society too much 4/4, man. Holy moly, and a lot of people, deservingly so, are creating stuff. But then again, a lot of people, it's just there, and you can just throw a freaking cheese omelet on it, and it's going to sound good because it's in 4/4. I'm really an equal opportunist. I really am. But you got to take sides once in a while. And that's one thing that I'm really, of course, if you put yourself in the right environment, you might not ever hear 4/4, But that's not even true. Everywhere it's 4/4 because that's how they make money.
Yeah. Right.
I wanted to say go to Turkey, go to India, and you won't hear 4/4. No, but there's going to be a Coca-Cola commercial with this in 4/4.
Oh man, yeah.
It might not be, but it'll only be shown in India if it's not in 4/4. If it's in 11, it's a Coca-Cola commercial. It'll only be shown in India.
Right. And you know what? Vinnie Colaiuta said at one of those Zildjian days, I believe, every odd time signature is just a 3 and a 2 put together, or it's a 3 and a 4. There has to be an odd, there has to be an even. You figure out where the pivot points are, there's your odd time signature.
Wow. Woo! That's good. That's good. And thanks for the knowledge. And I've heard him say that before. And when I get stuck, or if I'm looking to solve a problem, I'm thinking one way is what Vinny said: it's a 3 or 2, and cut it off and start it again. That's not the end. You want the end result to be more than that. And when you get to the end result, you're not playing 2, 3. Unless it's in that situation where that's supposed to be heard and understood or felt or something. You got to have that. For me, that's not enough. But let me tell you, on some gigs, that's why I fail on some gigs, because that's all I can do.
Okay.
See, it's bad. Correct. You can play your part now because I'm playing exactly 11 to 8, 4, 4, 3, 3, 9, and 17. Now you wrote those meters. I'm playing exactly right, so you can do your part or play your part, and hopefully your part will help my part sound better. For example,
you mentioned tinnitus. Sounds like a kind of a bummer. Is that a constant ringing in your ears?
Yes, but I'm. It's not as, of course, it's bad, but it's not as bad as it sounds. When you think of a ring, it's a full-fledged, full-bodied ring, from a bell ding to not my ears ring, but the bell ring, boxing in boxing, the bell, fire bell ring, it rings. It's not that for sure. It's more like,
oh wow, okay,
yeah, but with a little with some bite on it, little bite on it. Especially like maybe if I'm tired or something. But this is rare, but it does happen. It cringles as if there's somebody sneaking up on me in the weeds, coming out of the bushes.
Now, do you wear earplugs?
Oh, no.
Okay.
You're right on the other side of the spectrum. You're in LA, so you get all of that LA, flavor and what comes along with it. And I believe that, because I live here and have lived here long enough that, New York has a very special thing, man. And There's always somebody better than you and all that kind of stuff. We know that by now. But when we were first coming up, we knew that there was somebody better than us, but eventually we wanted to be better than them.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe not in that, just to make it sound better. Not that we can say, okay, I'm better than you now, but, after a while, you do realize that, you're not going to be as good in some areas. I have a vocal band called Vocalize. It's been together. It was started by the influence of Dizzy Gillespie and the Manhattan Transfer. And as a matter of fact, when it started, one of the main singers, if not the main singer, Janet Siegel, was one of the vocalists in my vocal band. And since then, I've had Carolyn Lenhart, who's been singing with Steely Dan forever, for, 12 years or more, or something like that. I have some really good musicians, and I arrange stuff. So, a lot of intricate things, but we also try to have balance, and we do nice, simple, nice, tasty 4/4 stuff, of course, too. So I try to have that balance. But I put the vocalists through all kinds of stuff. I make them drummers and musicians. Some vocalists are just vocalists, not musicians, right? So, right.
That's what they say about drummers. So, yeah, I'm glad.
Right, I forgot. I was probably coming to that, but I didn't get there yet. But my point is that we do a lot of interesting, nice things. And I write some of the songs. I arrange some of the songs, and lyrics included. And I might write a line of lyrics, but 4 lines of melody, and they have to start with the lyrics I wrote, and then continue to improvise and piggyback off the 1 line of lyrics I wrote. And they have to make their lyrics meet the melody, the next 3 lines of melody.
Can we hear some of that stuff? I mean, what is the name? The band is Vocalize. How does that spell? Vocalize.
Vocal, kind of hyphen. It's not a hyphen. It's a eyes. Eyes. Vocalize.
Oh. And you got gigs coming up with this band that people can see you in New York?
You can see me this weekend, 2 nights at Smalls, one of the greatest, best jazz clubs in New York and known worldwide. If you ask me, especially if you're a jazz musician or like jazz, of course, it's very, very popular, and it's the kind of the New York cutting edge thing, and it's a place where so many people are into it that you have to advertise. People just go there just to be hit,
Oh, that's so awesome.
It's one of the few venues, as you guys both know, when you do your own band or you're doing a project where, okay, we rehearsed 14 times or 4 times and we did this, we got everything organized, and now we got to advertise. We want people to come. Now we feel proud enough that we did our job, and we see what we got and we hear what we got. Now we can feel confident and invite people. Now let's get as many people as we can, for the club owner or the venue owner. This club is a break from that. You don't have to do nothing, even though I do.
Right.
So that's just a great vacation from selling yourself. Oh my God, I hate that.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a big plus. That if a place has a built-in crowd.
Yeah.
Right.
See, you said it in 2 words, and I said it in 43 words.
Yeah.
Playing with Gerald Beasley, who's a great bassist in Philly. He's got doing a electric Mingus project. I have a very busy month, especially this month. It's crazy. I'm doing all kinds of stuff, from weddings to first-time gigs to gigs that I don't have to read any music to gigs that I have to read all the music. Gigs that pay $150 and gigs that pay $2,300.
Wow.
Well,
man, thank you for taking time out of that busy schedule to talk with us here at Drum Syndicate Podcast. Can't thank you enough.
Great, guys. Thanks for teamwork.
Talk to you soon.
Yep.